Okay, so we start. Are you ready?
Yes, I should look on the video or
Oh,
to
you
you?
can look at me. I don't mean, it's easy. Whatever you want. Okay. Whatever you want, really.
Okay.
Okay. Does the title Metamorphoses refer to a change of direction in your last album in relationship to your previous one?
Yes, I think so. That Metamorphosis is really about changes, personal changes. The idea of probably trying to convey emotions on a more intimate, in a more personal way, and also after having revisited the past with my last album, I wanted to probably start with a blank page or open a new chapter, and partly on maybe with the idea of having a more sensual approach to sounds, partly electronic sounds and the groove, the percussions, the beat, and also involving vocals, my voice, my own voice, for one of the first time processed or not, and also vocals of special guests such as Laurie Anderson or Natasha Atlas or Sharon Core and various lots of female artists. I've been surrounded by women for this album that I really enjoyed very much.
And the other album, you say a bit there, but they had a different conception. Why did you choose to individualize this song? Do you know what I mean? To give the song each title.
You know, when you start to have words in music, even if you have one word, you are into a narrative process. Then you convey emotions, ideas in a probably more direct way by being maybe less impressionist, less abstract than when you are doing instrumental music. And then each time, for each piece of music, it's more or less like a small story. And then it's the reason why I see Metamorphoses, this album, as a series of futuristic pop songs, more than global concepts such as Oxygen or Zuluk or some of the previous work.
You seem now to use instruments in a different way. Is it true? Or is just my impression?
No, I think that I really try to have maybe a more direct approach, more sensual, as I said, more sensual approach to electronic sounds. And funnily enough, as a paradox, I think that since these past 2 years, probably, the relationship with computers has changed a lot. I mean, you are able now to have a real intuitive, warm attitude with computers, allowing you to do music and actually also visuals in a very organic way. I mean, almost nobody looking at us or watching at us today are aware that every day they are in contact with images through magazines or through television that have been heavily processed electronically. And these processes are allowing you sometimes, if we take the example of visuals, to have more contrast, more colors. I mean, in a sense, to be more, warmer. What is exactly the reverse cliche that a lot of people have for quite a while about technology. Because for a long time, technology, computers were linked with the idea that it should be, all what could be produced for technology would be necessarily have no emotions, or would be cold, or not warm particularly. It's probably a sign of the times and our times, and a real change with this new millennium, that suddenly the computer world, because of internet, because of all this new evolution, is able to bring us an idea of comfort, an idea of being more sensual. It's what I tried to convey in this new album by using technology in a more friendly, more organic way.
Yes, but at the same time, you choose to write lyrics, which is, in a way, um, a way to say something more, specific, more ancient. You know what I mean?
Yes, I think that, you know, nothing replaces nothing. It's the idea, I mean, I really see the future of music as not being electronic or more not linked to technology, but technology is just another tool, another instrument, and where in no way it's going to replace the sound of a violin, the sound of a tam-tam, or words, or I think more we'll have internet, more we'll have books as well. People don't realize that because they are always freaking out in terms of when new technology happens or new media happens. I mean, lots of people in front of internet are like the people at the beginning of the 20th century in front of a steam train, thinking that over 30 kilometers per hour their head would explode. It's more or less the attitude towards internet these days, thinking internet is danger for literature, for cinema, for records. And I think nothing replaces nothing. Television has not changed cinema, or cinema has not changed theater. I mean, didn't replace. Each time theater, cinema, video, I mean, evolved because of new techniques. And I think it's good that internet is going to be a good pretext for a lot of people to evolve, but not being replaced by anything else. So I think that you can still do music with violins, using vocals more than ever, but mixed with new sounds and a new audio approach.
Okay, so let's talk about the live show. How was the experience in Egypt?
It was really unique. I wanted to stay in my bed for the Millennium, really. And when I've been offered and asked by the state of Egypt to stage such a concert, I obviously couldn't refuse such an honor. And to be able to play your own music at such a place for such an occasion. The whole experience has been really moving. It was in the middle of Ramadan, and I always loved Egypt a great deal. It's part of our roots. And if there was one place to celebrate the millennium, talking about and thinking about celebrating time, it was certainly at the pyramids where everything began, more or less. And spending an all night in the desert in this kind of Egyptian Woodstock feel was something really special.
So why did you play just one time in Italy? Is it true? I mean, because I met one fan of you, but, she's
Yes,
very...
I mean, this is one of my big frustrations I would like to correct in the next few months. It's due to the fact that I've been involved in some of these outdoor projects. I've always been a big fan of Fellini and Nino Rota since I'm a child, and I always liked this idea that small circus traveling and I mean, performing for one night in a village and then disappearing the following morning. And I always thought that this is what performance is all about. I mean, the magic of performance and the complicity with the audience is really based on this very special atmosphere and special concept. So this one-off project I've created also because it was with the idea of exploring how to perform electronic music, what was totally different from rock and roll or jazz or classical music. I've been based on outdoor concerts. And the problem in Italy is since Pink Floyd did this appalling event in Venice that destroyed a part of the city.
I knew you are basically thinking about making a concert in Venice, but less doors. Is it true?
Yes, I mean, everybody's talking about this. I mean, about this. Yeah, I mean, I've been in touch with the city of Venice to stage a concert that would be entirely tailor-made and respecting the environment. And I think it's very, very important to I mean, one of the charm and the strength this of Italy is its vulnerability in terms of architecture and what this all mean. And it's not just it's not being nostalgic to think about. It's just being contemporary. I mean, to be able to put and to integrate all our patrimony as Latin people in connection with year 2000. And I think that a project being tailor-made for Venice or Milano outdoor would be appropriate, but not with this silly rock and roll attitude from very dated these days. I mean, dating from the 70s or 60s.
Why do you most of the time choose to do big concerts? I mean, not big, I mean, big like a big stage or, you know, big, huge atmosphere or huge scenery or huge, you know, environment.
It's not a matter of size, it's rather a matter of scale, actually. When you are outdoor, you are dealing with scale in different way. I mean, first of all, when you are outdoor, I mean, the ceiling is the sky. So it creates a totally different scale and I would say a complicity with the audience in a much warmer way than you could think, because I've never been a big fan of these halls that have been designed basically in the 60s, where on Monday night you have boxing match, on the Tuesday you have a convention for a new car, and on Wednesday you have a political party congress, and on Thursday you're able to play music. Vibes are very strange, and then I much prefer to be in more virgin areas. But having said that, I mean, last week I was launching the Metamorphoses, my new album, in Paris, with in a small club, in a very intimate way, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And that's part probably of this Metamorphoses. I also would like to do some very small venues and small club in a more intimate way, probably. And it's also what I would like to do here in Italy.
Okay.
Or summer festivals as well, also. Yeah.
I read you are influenced by cinema, and you mentioned before Nino Rota and Federico Fellini. And why? I mean, what the cinema is able to give to you? What do you take from the cinema?
I think inspiration and ideas are coming from everything, from the conversation we can have now, from an excerpt of a book you've read, or from painting, from television, and particularly from cinema for my generation, and I think for our generations. I mean, the visual art forms have been of a big influence for obvious reasons, because it's our day-to-day environment on an emotional point of view through television and cinema. But I would say that dealing with electronic music, what is made, and for me the big charm and interest of electronic music is the first time that you consider music not only in terms of notes but in terms of sounds. And so you're dealing with the idea of soundtracks. I mean, I always consider that my records are, in a sense, soundtracks for the film people have in their mind. So the link with cinema is obvious. But I would say that I consider more and more the link with music, not so much with cinema, but with cooking.
Cooking?
Yes, I think music is more. I mean, I consider electronic music really like doing pasta with mixing ingredients. I mean, a DJ in front of his turntables is like, in front of his oven, cooking frequencies in a very tactile way.
So do you like cooking? I mean, in your life?
Yes, I mean, I'm not I'm a bit lazy. That's the problem. But and cooking requires attention and concentration for rather long periods. So I like the idea of cooking, and pasta is still is okay. Pasta is a challenge, I would say.
It's not so difficult to cook pasta anyway.
It could be not so difficult or the most difficult thing to achieve. French don't understand how to
Yeah.
make pasta.
Yeah, let's talk about electronic music. You inspired a lot of artists, but now someone able to influence your music as well in the in the year 2000.
You know, I've lots of people are saying that I've been of some influence for people in electronic music because I've been one of the first one to do this kind of music, and I have no claim about all this. I'm not involved in all these kind of comments coming from marketing of record companies most of the time. But I think that if I've been of some influence for somebody, I've also been influenced by lots of the electronic scene in the 90s, people such as Chemical Brothers or Underworld, FX Twin, Air, Left Field, Orbital. I mean, all these people are part of my tribe, of my family. And I think music, after all, is about sharing emotions, sharing ideas, and stealing as well. We are all thieves, more or less, to each other.
Okay. Why do you think in your album, yeah, I mean, that's okay. Why do you think in your album Natasha Atlas, Sharon Core, which kind of inspiration they gave to you?
I didn't choose these artists only because I love them. Because in the case of Laurie or Natasha, I really love these artists also and the human beings, but because they were also corresponding and fitting that particular idea. And for Natasha Atlas, for instance, I've been really interested by the fact that for me she's really the real techno-oriental diva of our time. I mean, she's this perfect bridge between the West and the Middle East. She's half English, half Egyptian. She has a Belgian passport. She sings with a slight accent when she sings in Arabic. I mean, for me, there is nothing exotic in the way of working with the Oriental artists these days because it's part of our roots. If we go together outside, I mean, the Oriental connection is everywhere. The Turkish connection in Germany, the North African connection in France, the Indian or Pakistanis influence in the UK. I mean, it's part of my roots, really, like Edith Piaf or anywhere else, or anybody else, or Nino Rota. I mean, it's not there is nothing exotic. It's part of my patrimony. So I think that I really wanted to work with Natasha Atlas because she has such a great voice, and with this idea of she's singing a song called C'est la vie, and the structure of this song is based on the idea of having lots of different atmosphere within the same song, like day-to-day life is all about. I mean, darker moment, less dark moment, more dynamic, or more nostalgic, and being able to convey this on a vocal point of view is quite difficult. And she has that very particular talent, Natasha, to do that.
So my interview now is finished.
Yeah.
So, like a musician, which is your opinion about MP3?
I think MP3 is another way of conveying music to people, and there is nothing to worry about. People are making the confusion these days between a technology, a new way of broadcasting music, and rules and organizing a regulation, rules, law about a new system. There are two separate issues. First one is the tool, and the tool is great, The second one is now the distribution system has to be organized in a different way. And this is a problem of lawyers. This is not the problem of artists. As long as, and I've been involved in representing artists for the industry of the music business in Europe, in Brussels recently. And what I said about this new MP3 technology is the fact that whatever happens, we want to keep the control as artists, because I didn't sign a deal with, I signed a deal with a record company, not with British Telecom or French Telecom or AT&T. And it's not necessarily a risk for artists like me who are already established, but for young artists starting the business now, I mean, it would be a big danger for them to be considered in the next 10 years as content providers and not anymore as creators. And by the end of the day, this is the whole difference between a way of considering artists in Europe and in America, of approaching the notion or the idea of copyright. And this is why we are, as I would say, as Europeans, and even more as Latin artists, and the Latin mentality about artists is very important to convey these days, because particularly at the beginning of this new medium that internet is, and MP3 is also good because actually at the moment the whole music business is freaking out because they don't entirely understand how it's going to evolve, and they have to change. And I think it's very positive because they basically didn't change since the 60s, and it's time for record companies to evolve. And MP3 is going to be a very good way, and it's an obligation for them to evolve, otherwise they're going to die and being replaced by something else. But it's what life is made of. It's a metamorphosis process.
Okay, I've got last question from you. Do you have something you, for you it's really important, you want to say to a word? It's like a message in the battle, no? Something you want to say. It doesn't have to be something music affair or music business. Something like a human being you want to say to the world.
I mean, it's always. I mean, this kind of question. I always felt very uncomfortable with this kind of question, because it's not because you are doing something in one medium, what is music, and being successful in something, that it gives you the right to deliver statements like this that are most of the time very artificial, by saying I would like the world being green or being red or being blue or whatever. I think that the only statement, it's even not a statement, what I would say, it's just a wish, is the fact that through my music and through my day-to-day work, that I'm really wishing and hoping to be able to convey emotions and ideas that could help people to react in a rather positive way vis-à-vis themselves. I mean, giving them the energy to live, basically.
Sì, tanto non mi dice che non è importante, non continuiamo così, se vogliamo utilizzare queste cose posso lasciare. Okay, we finished. Could you please send me a copy?
Yes. I think this one doesn't work.
Okay.
Fortunately. 2.
No, just your...
Okay.
Fine. Okay, great. Thanks.
You're welcome.